You'll lose it if you talk about it. The more you try to be everything to everyone, the more you become nothing to yourself. The more you spend clinging to the past, the less likely your future will be any brighter. There will always be someone who can't see your worth. Don't let it be you. If you don't separate yourself from your distractions will separate you from your goals. A man who fears rejection is a man who has already rejected himself. Life is like an elevator. On your way up, sometimes you have to stop and let some people off. The moment you stop seeking validation from others is the moment you find true confidence. If you set your goals ridiculously high and it's a failure, you will fail above everyone else's success. You can only change when your mind is stronger than your emotions. A toxic environment is more likely to change you than you change it. People will disappoint you, so never put all your trust in anyone. Even if you are on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Don't lose yourself by tolerating too much from the people you want to keep. You are not rejected. You are redirected to something better. When you stop trying to please everyone, you begin to understand who truly values you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. If you find someone smarter than you, work with them. Do not compete. Avoid people who use their pain as an excuse to hurt you. You grow as much as the amount of truth you're willing to accept about yourself without running away. If you never heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. The quickest way to acquire self-confidence is to do exactly what you are afraid to do. When people treat you like they don't care, believe them. When you build in silence, no one knows where to attack. If you know how quickly people forget the dead, you will stop living to impress people. Never take advice from someone who isn't where you want to be. Comfort is the worst addiction and the cheap ticket to depression. People will start hating you when they cannot control you. You are allowed to change the price of access to you. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. If you only blame your problems on someone else, don't expect your life to get better. Pain only leaves you when it teaches you something. Don't spend your life dreaming about what you could have been in another place or under different circumstances. Instead, invest your energy in what is right in front of you. Every second you spend comparing your life to someone else's is a second spent wasting yours. Be smart enough to ask for advice, but be wise enough to know who to seek it from. We spend our first half learning what not to do, and the second half wishing we did more of it. You're never ready for what you have to do. You just do it. That makes you ready. Stop expecting others to give you more respect than the respect you give yourself. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey is simply believing you're worthy of the destination. The secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Never let yourself become completely dependent on anyone. Always be able to support yourself financially, mentally, and physically. Hope is not a strategy. You can't learn to drive in a parked car. To make progress, you need to get behind the wheel and start moving, even if the road ahead is uncertain. Growth is uncomfortable because you've never been here before. Hiding from your problems won't make them disappear. Facing them is the only way to grow. Never tell your problems to anyone, because 80% don't care, and 20% are glad you have them. Numbing the pain for a while will make it worse when you finally feel it. Your growth depends on your willingness to keep learning, even when it's boring. Sometimes you have to forget what you want and remember what you deserve. If it's out of your hands, let it out of your mind too. The life in front of you is far more important than the life behind you. On a day when you don't come across any problems, you can be sure that you are traveling in the wrong path. Ignoring red flags because you want to see the good in people will cost you later. You learn nothing from life if you think you're right all the time. Be careful who you let in your life. People will come and drain the shift out of you, then leave and blame everything on you. The moment you realize that your past mistakes are not change but lessons, you can begin to craft a future that isn't dictated by your regrets. You must discipline yourself carefully. You must keep the promises you make to yourself, and reward yourself so that you can trust and motivate yourself. People give you advice based on their perspective. You cannot be everywhere and have everything. Learn to make the right choices and commit to things that matter most. There's only one thing more precious than our time, and that's who we spend it on. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The greatest danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Keep your distance from people who will never admit they are wrong and always try to make you feel like it's all your fault. There's no shame in saying, "I don't know." Nobody has all the answers. Pretending to be perfect doesn't make you perfect. You learn a lot about people when they don't get what they want. If you can't say no, then your yes means nothing. True success doesn't depend on seeking validation from others. It stems from seizing opportunities, proving what you're capable of, and accomplishing your goals despite challenges. Stop being so available to people who are only there for you when it's convenient for them. It's not the load that breaks you down, but how you carry it. Dreams come in sizes that are too big so we can grow into them. Sometimes painful things can teach us lessons that we didn't think we needed to know. Being true to yourself may lead to loneliness, but it's worth it. The energy we spend to complain can be redirected to act for change. When we take responsibility, we get out of the victim mode and move on. What you want requires consistency and discipline. Don't blame people for disappointing you. Blame yourself for expecting too much from them. Luck comes to those who work hard. Good things do not come to those who wait. There can be no progress, no achievement, without sacrifice, and a man's worldly success will be in the measure that he sacrifices. You are the only person you can control. Unless you try to do something beyond what you have already mastered, you will never grow. The easiest way to destroy your self-confidence is to constantly break the promises you make to yourself. Mistakes won't hold you back. Not learning from them will. Patience is when you're supposed to be mad, but you choose to understand. Worrying about something isn't going to change the outcome. It's only going to waste time and energy that could be better used somewhere else. Just because the boat rocks doesn't mean it's time to jump overboard. True growth is rarely accompanied by joy and celebration. First, you choose a partner on the basis of their looks and enjoy until you realize that your kids will not be raised by their looks, but by their values. Who you are becoming is more important than who you've been. Don't be afraid to go it alone. The road to success is rarely crowded. The second you feel like you are hanging on by a thread, let go. You shouldn't be holding on to something that makes you feel that way in the first place. Going back to your ex is like having a shower and putting dirty underwear back on. Train yourself to take nothing personally, to save yourself from 99% of mental problems. It's normal to feel bad after making the right decision. Never make someone a priority who only makes you an option. Every time you lie, you are creating problems that you will have to deal with in the future. The chief trick to making good mistakes is not to hide them, especially not from yourself. No one sees how much you do for them. They only see what you don't do. The truth is, everyone is going to hurt you. You just have to find the ones worth suffering for. You can start your life over anytime you want. You can start being the person you actually want to be today, right now. You will never be 100% sure about a decision, but always make a decision because it's better to go back and fix it than to never make it at all. Life gives you lots of chances to screw up, which means you have just as many chances to get it right. Don't be angry with people who don't have the capacity to change. Recognizing that you are not where you want to be is a starting point to begin changing your life. The quickest way to improve your life is to stop waiting for motivation and start building discipline. You define yourself to others by the behavior that you tolerate. The people who ask the most from you are the people who do the least for you. Accepting your flaws is not about resignation, but about finding the courage to improve. You can't be happy with someone else if you aren't happy with yourself. Your wound is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. Not everything in your brain needs to come out of your mouth. The short-term pain of accepting the truth is much better than the long-term pain of believing an illusion. Nothing is scarier than avoiding your full potential. If you do not make yourself indispensable, you will be unemployed soon. Don't hang on to your mistakes just because you spend a lot of time making them. Fix your body before you fix anything else. Having a weak body is a reflection of your broken mind. True happiness comes from aligning your actions with your values, not from external approval. Never hurt others to heal yourself. Never hurt yourself to heal others. When your intentions are pure, you don't lose people, they lose you. Life has a way of working out, even when it seems impossible. You cannot have everything. You always exchange something for something. You only get one body. Take care of it. You'll have it all your life, and while it is incredibly resilient, it can only give you what you put in. In life, it's important to know when to stop arguing with people and simply let them be wrong. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And what they have planned for you is not much. Don't do anything you feel you'd have to lie about later. Say no to your desire to be perfect. Otherwise, you won't be able to improve further. Choosing comfort over discomfort does not lead to a comfortable life. Share your progress, not your goals, and you'll always be motivated. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. The highest reward for one's toil is not what one gets for it, but what one becomes by it. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. You will have to make very practical decisions about what you want from life and what you're willing to give up. And if you don't make them, then life will make them for you. Overthinking ruins you. It ruins the situation, twists things around, makes you worry about futile questions, and makes everything much worse than it actually is. If you stay too long in a bad situation, you'll forget it's bad and get comfortable, while the best years of your life just pass you by. Sometimes their behavior is your answer. Why let go of yesterday? Because yesterday has already let go of you. The most valuable things in life compound over a long period of time. Sometimes there's no right decision to make. In those cases, first, you make a decision and then you work to make it right. By doing what everyone else does, you guarantee average results. Our suffering is caused by holding on to how things might have been, should have been, could have been. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in battle. The way you talk to yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you. People treating you poorly is a reflection on them, not you. Never overlook contempt. When someone views you with contempt and talks to you like you're beneath them, they will likely do you harm, whether relationally, socially, or physically. Remove that person from your life. You can only lose what you cling to. You should never sacrifice what you could be for what you are. When you get a different vantage point, it changes your perspective. It allows us to see things that maybe we should have seen a long time ago. Maybe you are not healing because you're trying to be who you were before. That person doesn't exist anymore because there's a new you trying to be born. Breathe life into that person. Keep your standards high and do not settle for something because it is available. Some lessons have to be learned twice. You were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become your character. Failure shows us the way by showing us what isn't the way. Don't worry about what people say behind your back. They are the people who are always finding faults in your life instead of fixing the faults in their own life. Anything that you start to take a relaxed attitude towards stops controlling you. There are things in life we don't want to happen, but have to accept. Things we don't want to know, but have to learn. And people we can't live without, but have to let go. People are not always who they seem to be. Even knowing someone for a long time can and will turn on you. Never complain of that of which it is at all times in your power to rid yourself. Stay away from people who think your growth is competition. You cannot be lonely if you like the person you're alone with. Changes happen when we go against everything we're used to doing. Problems are the price you pay for progress. You know who your true friends are. Look for the ones who say good things behind your back and bad things to your face. Learn to sit back and observe. Not everything needs a reaction. Do not discuss your past with anyone, because only you know its true story and significance. Others may not understand or even use it against you. Life becomes much easier when you learn to accept apologies you never received. The more responsibility you take, the more you empower yourself to do something. It's never too late to do the thing you've always wanted to do. Don't let naysayers discourage you, because they may be projecting their own insecurities. It's okay to outgrow people, places, and mindsets that no longer serve your growth. You can win a lot in life just by being the last one to give up. Expect little from people. Expect a lot from yourself. Every decision you make is a step toward who you will become. Sometimes painful things can teach us lessons that we didn't think we needed to know. You're not defined by your past. You're prepared by it. You're stronger and more experienced, and you have greater confidence. The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are. You spend your first 20 years worrying about what people think about you. You spend your next 20 years swearing that you don't care what people think about you. You spend the next 20 years realizing that they aren't thinking about you. Being alone is powerful. It makes you realize that you need yourself more. We generate fears while we sit. We overcome them by action. If you want to make the wrong decision, ask everyone. Don't look back. You are not going that way. If people took back the pain they caused you, you'd lose the strength you gained. Life will test you just before it blesses you. If you focus on the hurt, you will continue to suffer. If you focus on the lesson, you will continue to grow. The magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding. You can either be a negative or positive person in life, but only one will get you somewhere. Never expose your next step. Just take the step. A fish with a closed mouth never gets caught. The people who say you can't and you won't are usually the ones scared that you will. Be careful how you talk to yourself, because you are listening. Stop thinking you're doing it all wrong. Your path doesn't look like anybody else's, because it can't, it shouldn't, and it won't. If it keeps you happy, keep it quiet. The family you create is more important than the family you come from. The more you know yourself, the less you need others' approval. Just because the past didn't turn out like you wanted it to, doesn't mean your future can't be better than you ever imagined. Do not allow small minds to convince you that your dreams are too big. When you try to please everybody, you almost always please nobody. We cannot become what we want by remaining what we are. The truth is, everyone is going to hurt you. You just gotta find the ones worth suffering for. If you find yourself repeatedly questioning whether or not something is right for you, the answer is usually no. Accept both compliments and criticism. It takes both sun and rain for a tree to grow. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Don't let new wisdom lead you to condemn yourself over old struggles. Bad habits are like a comfortable bed. easy to get into, but hard to get out of. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, the relationships we were too afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make. Waiting for change while not doing anything for it is like waiting for the train at a bus stop. By 3 lessons, we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is the easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest. Don't let other people's opinions drown out your inner voice. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Respect yourself, because people can see if you don't. It's impossible to make everyone happy, and trying to do so will only lead to frustration and disappointment. Stay away from people who can't see any wrong in their actions, but see every wrong in yours. Focus on the step in front of you and not the whole staircase. Be brave enough to be bad at something new. Your thoughts are like boomerangs. What you pass along to others is what will come back to you. Listen to the people who tell you what you don't want to hear. The longer you entertain what's not for you, the longer you postpone what is. The cost of procrastination is the life you could have lived. Don't depend too much on anyone in this world, because even your own shadow leaves you when you are in darkness. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. Excuses make today easy, but tomorrow harder. Discipline makes today hard, but tomorrow easier. If you are a giver, know your limits, because takers don't have any. If you don't clean up what's in your head, you'll drop what's in your hands. Never share your problems with friends before finding a solution, no matter how challenging it is. You don't have focus, not potential. You lack consistency, not skill. You lack strategy, not resources. You lack discipline, not capability. Your future is in your hands, and the doubt is in your head. Everyone wants to skip struggle, not knowing that's where character is built. Self-pity is dangerous. Stay away from it. Vision without execution is just a hallucination. Making too many efforts to forget someone is remembering them all the time. Never let a lack of support stop you from achieving your goal. Don't be afraid of losing people. Be afraid of losing yourself by trying to please everyone around you. Putting off until tomorrow is your weakness. Once you are mature, you will realize that silence is more powerful than proving your point. A lack of boundaries invites a lack of respect. Work for it more than you talk about it. Stop choosing what's not choosing you. Learn to be okay with not being invited, included, or considered. It won't happen overnight, but if you quit, it won't happen at all. Work at your job and make a living. Work on yourself and make a fortune. The hardest part is at the beginning of the journey. The rocket loses 90% of its fuel during takeoff. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Don't be upset by the result you didn't get from the work you didn't do. The journey of your success will always begin with the small step of taking a chance. Be alone until you're valued. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. The things you say about others say a lot about you. Don't be afraid to start over again. This time, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. It's not the future that's hazy. It's your thoughts about it. Stop expecting life to be fair. Start expecting yourself to be a better player, capable of handling any situation. When you stop chasing the wrong things, you'll give the right things a chance to catch you. Embarrassment is the cost of entry. If you aren't willing to look like the foolish beginner, you'll never be the graceful master. You are responsible for your own happiness. If you expect others to make you happy, you will always be disappointed. You are right about all the things you think you need to do. Don't wait. Get started. Not everyone will make it to your future. Some people are passing through to teach you life lessons. Be a good person, but don't waste time proving it. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's impossible. The best way to keep one's word is not to give it. Expect little from people. Expect a lot from yourself. That's the secret of a happy life. You can often regret your words, but you will never regret your silence. Don't ever let the same people disappoint you twice. Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs. One today is worth 2 tomorrows. Try not to sacrifice your progress for the sake of a friend. They may not have done the same if the tables were turned. Today is the oldest you've ever been in your life, and the youngest you'll ever be again. Happiness is not for something you postpone for the future. It is something you design for the present. Private life always wins. Keep it secret till you win. Being alone is really better than being with fake people who pretend to love you. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. The more people let you down, the easier you'll get back up and realize that life doesn't stop for anyone. Sometimes you have to lose something good to gain something better. Be careful who you trust. Salt and sugar look the same. Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. Most people stay in the same place for a reason. The things they hold dear are the anchors that hold them in place. You and yours before you are anyone else's. Sometimes you must go to war with yourself to fix yourself. You will never always be motivated, so you must learn to always be disciplined. The quickest way to succeed is to start now and figure it out as you go. You can't learn to drive in a parked car. You make the best decisions when in pain, because fear of experiencing the same pain again is the strongest motivator. What we do during our working hours determines what we have. What we do in our leisure hours determines what we are. If you treat an individual as he is, he will remain how he is. But if you treat him as if he were what he ought to be and could be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer someone else up. Grind like nobody has your back. Your life isn't yours if you always care what others think. You may not realize this, but the people you love are your biggest weaknesses. Set your mind on a definitive goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside to let you pass. Once you realize your value, you will be greatly surprised at what you used to settle for. Don't tell anyone what you think or what you know. Keep your secrets to yourself, because a friend of today could be an enemy by tomorrow. If people treat you like an option, leave them like a choice. To reach somewhere, you need to leave something behind. It's best to leave things at the right time, otherwise, you are left with too many regrets and complaints. Be impatient with actions, but patient with results. There's no limit to what you can achieve except that which you place in your mind. Distance yourself from people that bring out the person you're not trying to be anymore. Embrace solitude as a time for reflection and self-discovery. Forgive your old self. You've changed. Many of the people you told your secret to have already told it to others. Stop trying to skip the struggle. That's where the character is built. If you define the problem correctly, you almost have the solution. There are no shortcuts to any place worth going. The true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching. You've got to do what's right for you, even if it hurts some people you love. When you're working for someone else's dream, you sacrifice your own